Hello.
Hello, hi Michael, how are you?
Good. Hi, Sarah. Flip your camera on there if you can.
Yep, I will do that now.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good. I'm well, thank you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy holiday. Happy Friday. Happy all that.
Yes.
Where are you located?
So we're in Toronto.
Very cool.
How about yourself?
I'm in Sarasota, Florida. I live about half an hour above, not even, Cara.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on the West Coast, and Venice, where she just moved, is just south of us. So the good news is it's beautiful. The bad news is it's hotter than you can imagine. And
Aw, look at you guys chatting away already. That's awesome.
absolutely. Hey,
Good
girl.
morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Are you going to turn your camera on today, or are you going
Yeah,
incognito?
no, I won't. I'll turn it on. Hi, Sarah.
How you doing?
Good. So Michael's in my neck of the woods. I don't know if he was telling you that or not, but we're like
Yes,
30 minutes away.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just some weird twist of fate because when we worked together before, I was in Chicago and he was here. So we only ever saw each other in LA when we went out to that office. But
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I was commuting and doing 2 weeks or so each month in Glendale. And actually, I was staying in Pasadena in the Holiday Inn, which was a
Oh.
dump and a half.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
It
Oh
was it
yeah.
was it was really it was one of those really low grade, but it was like $109 a night, and the people that
Yeah.
owned it were so nice,
Yeah.
and I was by myself. So
Right,
they
right.
about the second year, they brought me Christmas presents and left
Oh,
them in my
that's so
room.
sweet.
Yeah, and it was like I was
Aw.
like, oh, you guys, it was candy and
Oh,
cookies and
that's
a
nice.
big basket full of stuff that I didn't need because it was all just calories. So,
Oh
but
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
for
nice.
sure.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
well,
Definitely,
great to
definitely.
meet you,
Okay.
ladies.
Yeah. So, I don't know what y'all were talking about before I jumped in, but I don't know.
How are all going to be millionaires?
Yeah, of course. That's always the
That's
grand plan, right?
yeah.
So
And
retire early.
when I win that lottery ticket, we'll know it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll,
Um,
I'll share it with everybody.
I know you will. I know where to find you anyway, so that's all right.
Right.
I'll just drive
Right.
down. So do you guys want to do like I know Michael, you've been in a few meetings now in Callbridge. You know, this is probably your third or fourth, and Sarah, you at least you're in with me. I'm sure you've been working on it with other people. So, but do you want to go through just the platform, like just what I usually do, um, more from a training than anything else, is do work inside out, like the in-call page that we're in here, right? Because this is the actual meeting. And then move into the user end, the dashboard, and then move into the customer admin end, which doesn't have to be very detailed, but just to kind of highlight you know, the inner, outer, and even more outer levels of coverage, so you kind of know what what you're getting.
Mhm.
We could do that,
So
and then what do you think?
yeah, can we just do 5 minutes on
Yeah,
ourselves and relationships and that sort of thing?
I
Just
have no agenda, so
right,
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
So Jason asked that I spend some time with you, Sarah, and get you kind of acclimated on the sales side and the process of selling these kind of technologies. What I'm going to do is take one of these out. Oh, that sounds much better. I can hear me. So uh, we should probably spend just a couple of minutes at the really, really super high level on that, and then drop down. And the more I look at the technology, the more excited I am about it because as Cara probably told you, we were together for years over in California, and I was the guy running up and down the hall saying, "We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this." And
That's true.
um,
I can attest to that. That is true. Mhm.
our CEO at the time didn't like me so much because I kept saying, "We got to do this," and he kept saying, "We're going to do it, but it's not on a roadmap." So it's all done and on steroids, and so I'm thrilled to see it. And I guess I'll give you 2 seconds on me. You can look me up on LinkedIn, or I can send you my resume, but LinkedIn's the easiest. So you spell my last name Doherty, Dorety, if you don't know.
Yes.
And I'm 26, prematurely gray.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. I was born that way. The doctor said, "Wow, we got a little old baby here." So I'm actually like the opposite of Brad Pitt in the movie, I guess.
I was gonna say like Benjamin Button or whatever that is, right?
Yeah, right. So, but the good news is, good news for somebody, I'm not sure it's me, is I've been in this business about 40 years. And I started out selling telephone systems when they first became legal in the United States. I was in the Silicon Valley. And so that was 1977 or 8, I believe. So they had automobiles in those days. There were still some horses and buggies around, and people say, "Boy, you look like Alexander Graham Bell." Well, we went to school together. What do you know? I mean, this is the way we looked in those days. So, but went from selling telephone systems to long distance to owning a huge payphone company in California, which I actually made a pretty good amount of money on.
Awesome.
And then have for the last 17 years, can't believe I'm saying this, I've owned a consulting company that does strategic partnerships, business development, sales, and marketing. So that's about my history. I wish I could tell you it was much more exciting than that. The Rolling
That's awesome.
Stones
Hearing
and the
this makes
Beatles
me very
involved in it.
excited to have you as my mentor.
Yeah, I will try my best to mentor.
Live up to that, Michael.
They never told me that you were so handsome, but I'm glad I got to see you face to face.
Kid, you just keep that up and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, that's there you go. There you go.
That and send food and everything's going to work out just really well. So anyway, the interesting thing about this evolution of technology is this is what probably dozens and dozens and dozens of other companies have tried to accomplish and failed. And so some of those companies I worked for and worked with and consulted for, and they came up with great products and great solutions, but could never quite put the whole package together. And this has, as we're going to see in just a minute as Cara takes us through it, not only the ability to do a video call, but it has attributes on it that as soon as you see the attribute, you say, wow, a bank could use that, a pharmacy could use that, a law firm could use that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things Jason asked me to do was kind of focus with you on small business. And this product makes it really easy to do. The other thing that's cool about it is you probably don't have to leave your office or your home to do it. You send an email over, they click on the link, and we're having this meeting. And so it saves us gazillions of years of time and travel and expense, and either they like it or they don't. We have a couple of rules. One is if they're hemming and hawing and shopping, let them go do that, move on to somebody else. Because for every one or two of those guys we see 4 or 5 people that want to buy. So, but we'll get into the sales part of it a little bit later. What is your background?
So I recently was working at Lids. I was doing retail as the assistant manager there. I started working there because I got accepted into college. I went back to school. I was a little bit of a mature student. I recently graduated from Humber College. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but basically I got a diploma in business marketing.
Cool.
And then before that, I was working in the oil sales industry. So I was working for a Canadian company based out in Alberta. They basically manufactured, bottled, sold their own oil. I managed about 250 customers of my own within Ontario. I was working there until I got unfortunately laid off when the industry wasn't doing very well. That's what encouraged me to go back to school and gain more knowledge and confidence just in the marketing field itself. Jason reached out to me a few weeks ago, said he would love to interview me, and here I am now.
Very cool. Very cool. And what kind of oil was it? You said the word bottles and not cans or
Yeah, so
barrels.
they were a bulk oil sales and service. So basically, it was anywhere from bulk oil where they were filling into customer tanks, and they were also packaging and bottling their own oil. So mostly it was like your regular engine oils, your car oils, hydraulic oils, and such. I did face the challenge of being a female within that industry. However, I found that that really encouraged me to, be more confident in what I am and who I am. That really helped me a lot. Some people were really welcoming, whereas others were not. So I think that this role is a really good position for me just because of the fact that I understand how it works. I would say I'm a tough cookie. I can manage no's, but I know that I'll get some yeses as well. So yeah, I'm just really excited to not only be here, but actually learn how this industry works because I don't have a lot of experience within this industry, of course, but that's how I was when I started with oil sales. I had no idea about what oil went into my car. So um, I managed
Yep.
to still be successful. So that's where I think I'm really excited about the fact that Jason set us up to, for me to learn from you and, understand how the industry works.
Good. Well, I'll tell you, you're going to have no problem. You present really well. When it comes to women in business, um, so, I'm a huge believer. I've always surrounded myself by brilliant women, and they have a whole different take on business. They don't talk about it a lot. They just go get it done. While the guys all stand around and talk about it, and you know, stand by the water cooler and do whatever they can do. So I'm looking forward one of these days to having a woman president. Um, not particularly the one who tried recently, but somebody else. I was a big fan of Margaret Thatcher actually, and seeing the way that she ran the country and pulled it out of its economic woes. I was just so impressed with her. It was a no, I, trying to keep it real politically correct here. She didn't take anything from anybody ever, and it was either lead, follow, or just get out of the way. So you've got your greatest proponents here, and of course, watching Cara work for years has been a thrill. And then we have another friend by the name of Ann Young, who just you put the two of these two together in a room, and all I had to do was sit back and put my feet up. And,
Anne's she's like there's no one like Anne. She's
yeah,
one of a kind, really. She's great.
right.
Oh my goodness, yeah, she's
So
fantastic.
good.
Anyway,
Well, let's move on to the product, and then we'll talk a little bit about potential markets. And
yeah.
I've got some additional information to give you guys on a database that I just bought, which is one of my top secret tools that I've used for years. That I don't
Top
normally
secret.
top secret and extremely deadly when used correctly. So anyway, Cara,
Yeah. So. Mhm.
I was just going to say, why don't you take it and give us the overview again? I can't get enough of this.
Yeah, I think it's good just to see, and I'm not here to train you, right? I mean, you'll learn as you
Yeah.
go, and you're not going to be training people,
Right.
right? I mean, especially Michael, Sarah, you might have to, just because
Right.
that's sometimes goes hand in hand, but that's not going to be the primary focus. But the way that that we present this isn't so much here's how I share my screen. Look at me sharing my screen and clicking on this and, and doing all that stuff. It's more, and this is how Jason has asked me to present it to, like, it's more, these are what you expect. We have everything you expect. You're going to find it in Zoom. You're going to find, we don't hide from the fact that literally everybody has screen sharing and video and these type of things. If you expect it, we have it, we do it well. The quality speaks for itself. But look what else we do have, so things to point out, say in the in-call page here, is the way that I feel that we focus on content. So, if I'm sharing my screen, that should be what you're seeing in the main content window. Your toolbars will float away. They'll go, be toolbars somewhere off the screen, and you can kind of focus on what's being presented, what people are talking about, etc. But, and I think we touched on this before, the toolbars are, I think, a little more intuitive than others out there. Sarah, when we talked on, my days are messed up, like, because I had yesterday off. I feel like it was a weekend, but it wasn't. We just talked Wednesday. They're a little more intuitive. Zooms are like crowded down here, so we don't need to compare. Just say, hey, look, we've got the shared whiteboard. All of your controls for the conference are at the top, right? So, if I want to put myself back on video, if I want to enable the recording, right? So it is enabled, but if I want to stop the recording, it's all there. My webinar tools, such as they are, they need a little bit more, but they're over in the chat window. So, I can make you guys all be quiet if I wanted to. So if, there's background noise, I've just cut it off with that one click of a button. I can turn you guys back on.
So
There you go.
you can turn people on and off relative to their background noise, or does it cut off their microphone completely?
Yeah. So let's say, Michael, your dog got a little feisty and UPS is there. I would see on my screen flashes. I'd be seeing your screen flash, and this assumes that there's more than 3 people and we don't know who's. You'll see that screen flash, and I can say, oh no, I know where this is coming from, and so I can move over and click and mute you out, and you'll hear that you've been muted. Right now, you can undo that. That's just a soft mute. You can unmute your own line if you need to talk or if the noise is gone. But as a moderator, I can also fully control that as well. But if you want to do everybody at once, like when I do the webinars, we start in presentation mode, and we make sure that only the speaker has the floor and that no noise can even possibly interfere. This tool is also very, very, and Sarah, this is more for you. These are important tools because one of the biggest complaints that we get, that Zoom will get, I guarantee you, that GoToMeeting will get, is audio quality. We heard an echo. You heard it a little bit ago with Michael's speakers. He probably had his speakers up, right? Turned up on he was switching.
Yeah.
And you heard that. And it's just because technology, and because whether we know it or not, we've all probably got 2 or 3 microphones and speakers sitting around us. I've got my headset, then I have the one on my computer, and then I have my mobile phone sitting here. So when you have all of that going on and you've got somebody that doesn't know how to use it, that could interfere with the call. And when it interferes with the call is lost. A customer is going to be livid. So muting is a really good way, to talk to them before and say, listen, muting is your friend. If it's your own line, mute yourself. If you're on a call, you can control that. Like 90% of our quality issues are user error, I would say.
Gotcha.
So that's it's like an important tool to me. Even in a small call, it doesn't matter whether it's 100 or 4 people. You get one person with a really bad echo, it's going to tank the whole call. Sarah Adeby in the office can go. She's great with that. Michael, you're going to love this. This is huge for partners. We have a tool called Beacon, and that tool allows us to drill. We built it. Okay, so it's proprietary. It allows us to look at every single call that's happened in the system, and really, we can tell people your bandwidth was awful during the call. we see now, we know why you had this going on. Why was your video stopping? Because your bandwidth was super low. There was this much packet loss. There were this many skips. We can look at the audio connection. So we have this tool that really allows us to diagnose and quickly react to issues. And it's not always with the user, but even on our end, it's like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. We need to go in and fix that. But it's a really deep dive into the diagnostics of literally every single call that happens. So that's important.
Cool.
Michael, we can give that to partners. We'll provide them access to Beacon and train them on it too.
Very cool. I'd like to learn how to use it really well.
Yeah, me too. I it's really technical. Like me, I can do some stuff in there, but I'm telling you, there's a lot there. So, anyway.
Now, can we do that during a call?
Not really. Let me see if I can show you what it looks like here. So you could tell certain things. Shoot, I'd have to get like an access code or something.
That's okay. Sorry, we don't need to do it right now.
This is kind of what the call does have to be done. It has to be finished for it to show up in here, for the CDRs to be completed.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
right, but it's an amazing tool to have.
It is an amazing tool to have, and again, especially with partners, it allows them to really be self-sufficient in terms of tier 1 troubleshooting for their customers. If we hand them the tools and they can manage their customers, it's a better deal for them, right? They're quicker to react, to solve the problems, that kind of thing. But really, I think I don't know that there's really anything else to talk about on the in-call page. It's clean, it's easy,
Very self-explanatory. I like that it's user-friendly. I found a website this week called Trust Radius. Basically, I noticed that they had Zoom on there. They had a lot of people who reviewed Zoom, and I found that something in common that they had was the fact that Zoom settings are not as easy to find as Callbridge. So
nice.
I think that's going to be a great plus because of the fact that it's user-friendly. So you don't necessarily have to be techie to be able to, figure out how to use something. It's very simple and laid out and clean, as you mentioned. I personally found that really easy when I practiced using it because you're already nervous using a new piece of technology. The fact that it's laid out for you, it's in plain simple English. It's not sophisticated words or icons or anything like that.
Right,
so
right.
I think it's a great bonus.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Yep, I think so too. Shoot, I had a comment and I forgot. I want to point out, and not because this is anything negative on the system, but just some things that we are missing, because somebody's going to ask you this. And we were talking on Wednesday, Sarah, and it was like, if somebody says, do you have this? If we don't have it, it's in the works. Like, it's coming up. We'll develop it. We'll put it. We probably already have it in the roadmap, and Noam and Jeff can tell you more about that. But things like, from a webinar standpoint, I can't stop you as a participant of the call from sharing your screen. So
you can't what with me?
I can't, like, if you're a participant on my webinar, you could share your screen. I don't have any way to stop you from doing that.
Gotcha.
I can eject you, right? Which shouldn't be, and again, this isn't a webinar style, any large one-to-many type of presentation, not an interactive call, nobody cares. But like, for example, if I upload a document, let's see if I can do this. Oh, shoot, do I have a PowerPoint?
It's similar to that thing that you guys have called Meeting Lock, right?
Yeah, Meeting Lock is not letting anybody else into the call. This would be it would be some type of lock, or it would simply be a restriction on the access of participants. Like, if you come into my call as a participant, I should not have to stop you from doing anything. I should be able to grant you that access. Gotcha. I think it should be a right you shouldn't have in the first place. In a webinar, you don't want participants running the show, right? So, like, if I'm going to go ahead and present this document, like, there's nothing that stops you from going into the chat and uploading a document and also presenting a document. So it, you know, that's one thing we're missing. All right. So just,
Well,
just to
there
let
is
you know
there
that.
is one way to do it. I would think is you can just disconnect that caller.
You can kick them out of the meeting. Yeah, for sure. You can
Yeah,
do that.
and nuke 'em.
But you can nuke them. Yeah. But I think like as a presenter to, again, to like a one-to-many, that's an interruption to your call. So you want it not to happen in the first place. Anyway, just case in point, that's what we're missing. We don't have remote control of a laptop. So you know, in the like the IT troubleshooting world, Michael, you're the expert. Take over my laptop and show me what I need to download and how that kind of thing. We don't like I can't control your desktop remotely, and you know that. But again, that's something that we have on the docket. I'm trying to think of any other. Oh, chat. We don't have a way, like we would ideally like to be able to restrict the participant list. We don't want everybody to always be able to view that. There's a lot of things you can have. Most people doing a presentation don't want other participants to know who's on the call. It could be a competition type of factor. It could be I'm acting like I'm a really big person and there's 100 people on the call and really there's only 3. It kind of takes away from the power of your presentation. So hiding the chat, restricting the chat is another thing that we need to put in there. So just so you know, if people ask that, coming.
So let me ask
on the.
let me ask a question about that if I can.
Mhm.
So first of all, we have chat, right?
We do. Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Yep.
what I'm hearing is everybody can see the chat. You can't have a one-to-one chat on the side with no one else
If
being able to see it.
you can you see? Oh, I'm not sharing anymore. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
So
I saw.
yeah,
I saw
here you
yours.
go. Yeah, you saw my chat. So here's the chat. I can share to only if there was another moderator on the call. I
Yeah.
could go ahead and chat only to them or registered users. I really don't know what the upside of that is. A registered user would be like you have your own Callbridge account and you logged in. So perhaps that's keeping it within the company. But you're right. You should have a list. It should drop down with everybody's name. So if I want to chat with Michael, then I just pick Michael and I can just chat with him privately.
Right.
But it does not have that.
Right. Not yet. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we can chat with the moderator and no one else see it.
I believe that's correct. So if you click on your chat, if somebody clicks on their chat window on the right, the little bubbles. Do you have the ability to only
Yeah, I
chat
got
to me?
it. I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I got Sarah's. Interestingly, I can't tell if it's a private chat or not. Can you see Sarah's chat, Michael?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so that wasn't a private chat.
And so you
So,
can see mine too, right?
yep. Everybody
Okay.
can
And
see
Sarah,
everybody's.
you can see mine?
Do you have a drop-down menu over here?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Well, I see you saying hello. I see Sarah saying hi, hey there.
I mean, up
me
in the
saying,
chat, is there anything in this chat where it says allow?
No, for mine it just says Callbridge invoice, the one that you shared, and then we just
Right.
have the chat.
Okay.
And that's
So
all.
then you don't have the ability as a participant to only chat to me, but I can turn. All right, there we go. I can turn chat off. Okay. So there's some work to be done in chat and privacy and what you can do with chat. That's the only thing, to take away from this is that we have some of these features that still need to be developed. But other than that, I don't think there's really much. The diagnostics are good. So if you can see, I can click on my little signal here. And I can see that, okay, I've got a good connection. I don't have any packet loss. I think my resolution is good. So you can always ask somebody to click on their wire, if they're video, why can't I do this?
where did you click?
So if you hover on the right-hand side of your screen, a little toolbar should pop out.
Over on the right hand. Yep,
Right.
over here on the right.
Yep. So way at the bottom, there's like the wireless signal, and click
Right.
on that.
Okay. So
So you can check your own settings that way. Because the
down,
automatic
I'm getting
assumption.
960.
Yep, up and down. Yep. The automatic assumption of people, if their video is not working, is, well, your system's crap. It's like, well, maybe maybe your round trip isn't great, you know? I mean, let me hide, like, if your round trip is like at the bottom is like 80 seconds, well, that's why there's a delay. It's, you know, it's not going
The
very
one
well.
thing,
So
the one thing I am noticing is, even though this thing is looking at my Wi-Fi and it's telling me my connection is excellent, when I look at myself or I look at either of you, I do not see uh, full synchronization of the movement and the voice. So the audio and the video are not perfectly synced.
mm,
They're not,
mhm.
they're not bad.
Yeah,
And frankly,
yeah.
I'll tell you one of the, unless you're showing some type, and this is more for Sarah, Cara, you know this. And um, by the way, I'm so glad that I have Sarah and Cara. It's from, a
Well,
memory standpoint for a guy my age, it's just great. I'm right in this two little, I don't have
and we
to.
have another Sarah in the office, so
All right,
you're good, right?
that's
So
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
you
yep.
name the whole company Sarah and Cara, I'm cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's tough for me to make a mistake, right? So
Right, right.
anyway, it's an interesting dichotomy. Um, as we'll get into this deeper, this is for Sarah. Um, People think it's really cool to be able to see each other on a call. And seeing each other on a call has a number of intrinsic values. Um, just like then, if you noticed, I touched my nose. Um, if we see somebody picking their nose, then they're probably not paying full attention to us. If we see them, if we see them just drifting off and not really focusing on the presentation or on the slides, we have the option to call them out and say, "Hey, Harry, are you busy there or what? Or do you want to pay attention?" Now, very rarely will anybody do that because that's kind of outside the borders of etiquette. But it does
True.
allow us,
True.
right? So watching somebody on the other side of the table when you're doing business with them at any level is it's remarkably great to be able to see them visually and see if they're paying attention, if they've got people walking behind them, if they've taken the time to set the lighting up and set the camera up correctly because they're serious and they want to have a real conversation with you, or they jump on in the last minute. And this is a true story, and I forget who he was, but he was a big deal. He was a senior vice president of a telecoms company, a call center company. In fact, I do know who he is. And we get on the call with him. We're at VIDYO, which is a company that has now just been bought by Inhouse up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I was there about 3.5 years doing what I'm doing now. And we get on the call with my senior vice president and myself, and this guy is driving down the road. He is driving the car, holding up his iPhone
Oh my
and
goodness.
driving the car. And I said to
Ugh.
him, Harry, wouldn't it be a good idea to pull over? Oh, no, this is fine. And so that said to me, Harry's a knucklehead, number one. Harry doesn't mind endangering the lives of other people around him, number two. So I'm not going to go skeet shooting with him. And he's really not all that. He's really not all that interested. If he was interested, he would at least pull off the road and and
Give
get
you his
serious.
undivided attention, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and if people don't have time to do the call, I always say to them, "Hey, is it a good time? Because if you don't, and if so, how much time do you have?" Well, I've only got 12 minutes. Okay, well then great. Why don't we push this off and reschedule this when we have an hour so we can really dive into this and get it done correctly. So the face-to-face element of this is critically important because it can tell us body language, it can tell us facial expression, it can really give us a good idea as to who's paying attention, who's interested, who's not interested. When you're doing 4, 5, 6, 7 people, you're going to always have one or two that A, don't want to be there for some personal reason. B, think it's their job and they shouldn't, their boss shouldn't be involved. Um, you know, you always have the engineers that figure they can do this better themselves and they don't need us. So we're wasting their time. Or you have a boss who really doesn't care one way or the other because he's retiring next year and he's not telling you that, but he doesn't care. But you can figure all those things out by having this technology in front of you. And really, this should be kind of an adjunct. Should be something that happens at the beginning and maybe happens at the end when we do okay, what are our next steps, assuming we get that far. The middle portion is really going to be about presentation, showing how the system works, showing documents. We might want to review a contract with them, and so we throw the contract up and we step through it. We might have some highlights. And so those are the primary purposes for this this type of a tool. The other primary purpose, and it's really interesting to me that you mentioned the oil industry, because I have to go back and look at the name of the company. There's a huge company in the United States that is a partnership between a U.S. company and an English company. And their first day of business, they were a $7 billion company by combining the two.
Is it Vidal by any chance?
Who was it?
Sure Vidal?
I don't know that name. I don't think.
No. Okay.
Seems to me began with it. But anyway, it was an interesting call. There's another purpose for this technology that a lot of people don't associate with it, which is see what I see. So let's think for a minute that you're trying to fix you're trying to fix your computer, or you're trying to fix your printer, okay? And you can't get the darn thing to work. So it's made by Xerox. And so there's a number on there. You dial into Xerox and you say, I can't make this thing work. And they say, well, what's wrong with it? And you try to describe it. And they say, well, you'll have to take a picture of it and send it to us. And you say, well, I'll do you one better. I'll send you an email right now. And I'm going to point my camera at it, kind of like FaceTime. So we're going to use it like FaceTime, if you would, only better. And we're going to be able to turn our laptop around or our mobile device around. And we're going to point to it and say, see this button here? It broke off. Is there any way to continue using this without that button? Or how do I put the button back on? Or they go, oh, the button's broken. Oh, that's a big deal. Yeah, you got to send it back in, and yada, yada, yada. And then you say, well, can you get somebody else and just let's double check that? Somebody comes along and says, no, you can just stick your pen in there and we'll send you another button. You can install it when it gets there. So it's called See What I See. And the concept is that we can help people in the field by using technologies like this. And it might be a medical application, right? And it might be an engineering, customer service type application. And when we get past the technical overview Cara's doing, we'll talk a little bit about some of those verticals, because you can start out real small with a guy who has a garage and fixes cars, right? And a customer calls in and says, I can't make my car start. And okay, well, I don't want to send a tow truck, and I don't want to send, my people are really busy. Why don't you take your mobile phone? I'll send you a link, click on it, and point it at open up the hood and point it at the engine, and I'll try to help you out. So there's one guy in a garage who's smart enough to know that, he just saved a ton of money. He's giving his customer really good support. He didn't send a tow truck. He didn't pull one of his guys off another job. And it turns out, there's nothing wrong with the engine. She's using her Ford key in the Chevy, whatever it is. She's not in gear. It's something that, or he's not in gear. So endless applications for this. And they can get real sophisticated, or they can be just real simple. But using tools like this can just save us money and make us money all day long. So sorry, Cara, didn't mean to go off.
No. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. No, it's good. It's all good. And really, we don't need to spend a huge amount of time on it. Let's see, let's go.
Actually, I would like I would like to let's finish your overview, and
Yeah,
then I'd like to set a time to really kind of do a deep dive for all of us, because I need to just get really acclimated fast with this.
yeah,
So maybe
and you know what? Like Sarah's got the
Monday.
best thing too. Like the best way is really just to start holding meetings. Like hold meetings. Go into, like, for example, so like logging into your dashboard, right? So get to our dashboard. This is behind the user login, and this is what I would really urge you to become familiar with, because a lot of these things you can do and settings are going to dictate features that people will want to know about. Not so much,
Okay.
hey, we've got a great scheduler. You can click on this and type in a time. So everybody knows that. Like, of course you can do that. Why, it would be silly. But settings, things like, let's pick a good one, pinless entry and SMS. That's just our fancy way of saying, put your mobile number in and we're going to text you meeting reminders. Not only are we going to text you all these meeting reminders, because if you're like me, you can never get too many reminders about meetings, because Lord knows, send them all. I just don't want to forget. This also will tell you who's waiting in your room before you're there. So I knew Michael was hanging out in my conference room a little bit early. I would have joined him, but I had to finish something up because I saw Michael Doherty is waiting in your call on my phone. So that was kind of cool. This also lets you, if you put your number in there, it lets you join your call without entering a darn thing. Everybody wants to be simple. I don't know. I have how many people on my cell phone plan? 6 people in my family. I only know my husband and 2 of my kids' numbers. I don't know what my other kids' numbers are because they're programmed to my phone, right? So this allows you to enter into a call without touching a single code. If you've got your phone in there, you dial the number and it'll go, oh, I see you have a call scheduled, putting you there now. So it's super simple. So again, these are great features. People want to know, do I have to dial a code? Well, no, you don't. If you're a host, you can just plug your number in and get right into the call. Things like our security features. So, that's a huge topic. I bet Michael could like talk for hours on security and how it's, just a huge part of the industry now. And we have some ways, for people to control their calls, so they can enable like a security code on top of their regular access code. So if you want to do this and save it, now the call that you've been having every Monday for a year, and people are breaking into, well, now people have to enter this code to get into that call. Or if you're just having a one-off call and you want to make sure nobody busts in on it, you could turn that on. So some of those things. This is a big one, and this is huge from a feature perspective. Sarah, we did this on Wednesday when we talked, but so you can live stream to YouTube without too much effort on your end. You get a couple pieces from YouTube, plug it into here, and then you can stream out and you have a virtually unlimited audience. So right now, our hard limit on participants is 100 online participants. People joining on the URL, just like you guys did, there's a hard limit of 100. There's a lot of reasons for that, and we are looking to expand it. But you will have people say, but I want to stream to 1,000 people. Great. YouTube. You can go to 10,000 people. Anybody that you can give your YouTube channel stream information to can see that you're meeting. It's really just a presentation. At that point, you're not doing a Q&A with 1,000 people, right? You're just providing information to an audience. And the smart summary. So we did. I showed Sarah how this worked. It's pretty cool. So Michael, you were actually on this call. So let's say I was like, oh my gosh, I remember Michael and I talked about radio on a call, but I don't remember what call it was. So I just go up into my little search button. I type in that, and I'm like, oh, look at that. We talked about it on this call. It's actually one of our topics in the cloud hashtag, because as Q was going through and transcribing, it decided and it let us know what was the most talked about thing. We have broadcast, camera, whatever. And now I can even click on where we said radio, and I will be able to see where that is in the transcript. So it's right here. And if I really want to find what we talked about, I can just click on a word and it's going to jump right to that part in the recording. See? See?
This is an
So
awesome
yeah,
feature.
it
Mhm.
And
really is.
it opens up dozens of new markets that other competitors have not been able to crack. So some examples would be
Yeah.
legal. So we're having a conversation with our client, and this effectively is transcribing and saving that entire conversation. Now, I do have to caution you, Sarah. I know Cara knows this. Some states do not allow you, in the United States, do not allow you to record a call without both parties being aware the call is being recorded. And so
Gotcha.
Yeah. Right.
you have to either we have to plug in, which we can do, I'm sure, easily using one of your voices. A notification: this call may be recorded for quality assurance, and just have that run at the beginning when we click on Q or Q AI.
It
Uh,
it does announce into the call. Anytime you have automatic recording, it'll tell you this call is being recorded. Anytime recording pops in. I mean, that's yeah, we've already got that part covered.
okay, and
GDPR has really made us do that.
how does it say that? Does it say this call is being recorded,